Okay, so it's just about time. So we're going to go ahead and get started with tonight's offering. So last week we started this 4-week series, and we started by laying some groundwork and some context for what yoga is, and also introducing something that might be even more foreign to us, which is the concept of the school of thought that is Vedanta, coming from the Vedas. So ancient scriptures, which has a lot of lessons that intertwine with the school of yoga, predating yoga, and yoga drawing some of its wisdom from these Vedantin concepts. And what we're going to do is, over the next couple of weeks, is look at some terminology that, because there's a lot, although these texts are ancient, they have so much wisdom that is totally relevant to today. It's never going to go out of style. And we introduced the term or the word Sanskrit, which is what the language that these texts are written in, and talked about Sanskrit being words that hold sacred meaning, but they're also sacred in their sound structure and the vibration that happens when they're spoken. And so I wanted to start tonight's class with a lesson on the Om. And so you may or may not be familiar with the Om, and I have a teaching tool with me tonight. I have my little piece of paper, and hopefully, I think it might show up mirrored for you all. And if it does, forgive me. I should really be screen sharing. But I'm doing this old school, so that didn't show up great. Let me see. So the Om symbol, it looks like the number 30. And so if it's showing up backwards for you, you can just imagine it being mirrored. But it's a giant 30. Yeah, it's backwards, but.
No, it's not backwards for me. It's
not?
right side up. No, it's not backwards for me.
Oh,
it is
good. It just shows it that way.
It is a feature that can be toggled, but you don't need to. You're all set.
Awesome. I'm so glad. Thank you, David. Perfect. And so we have this symbol, and you may have heard it. A lot of people have it in tattoos and on T-shirts and on bumper stickers. And that's all great. And you think, oh, that person's probably hopefully really peaceful and aligned. They must be a yogi. But it's really, there's so much to the Om. And so I wanted to start here tonight as we learn Sanskrit together a little bit. And this symbol, it's written in the Vinagari, which is how Sanskrit, the characters that get written out in Sanskrit. And the Om is often translated to mean ultimate reality, the spark of consciousness. It's that people liken it to the idea of the Big Bang. It's that the spark from which all life sprung. It's the first sound ever spoken into the universe. We all begin and we end with the Om. And the sound, it's often spelled O-M, but it's actually the pronunciation, like phonically spelled, it'd be A-U-M. So it's ah, oo, and when properly toned, it's going to be using the full range of our human vocal cords. So the ah starting at the bottom of the vocal cords, maybe even into the chest, the throat, the belly, if you can really get down deep in the ah, pulling that out, and then the oo happening in the bowl of the mouth, and then the coming off the lips. So it's supposed to be this full range and engaging us vibrationally through the whole range of your vocal cords. Now, then the symbol itself, there's these 3 swoops, and that's like the Trinity. So we have past, present, future. It's often likened to waking, dreaming, and deep sleep or unconscious sleep state, the states in which we operate our life through. And so this big swooping action, that's us. That's us in our jiva self. So the jiva being the humanness of all of us. So I'm gonna continue to elaborate. So we have this shape being all of us, and then floating above us, this little tick mark is gonna be that's bliss. That's the yum of divinity, of life. And then there's this cradle, this crescent, which gives the illusion of separateness. It's sort of veiling the bliss from us, but it's all part of the same symbol, and it's not encapsulated. We can get around it and get to the bliss. But this arc shape, the term is Maya, and Maya is the veil of illusion. And so it's a pretty loaded symbol and sound. And so we have in yoga classes all over the world, in Hinduism, in other religions as well, Buddhists, Sikhs, Jainism, they all have the Om. And I'm going to invite us today to start our practice with a rolling Om together. And so just joining the chorus of people, maybe reflecting on this symbol, toning it out and it's this sound that cuts through. So if there's any like bullshit in your day, if there was any stuff that came up for you, that you just need to kind of cut through all of that to get back to center and to self, this sound is going to help us do that and set the stage for our practice. And so we're going to start our class by toning the Om. So it'll be our first spoken Sanskrit word together. And so I'm going to invite you all to find a comfortable seat. And taking a deep breath in, a deep breath out, and just centering yourself. If you'd like, you can close your eyes. And for these Oms, we're just going to roll with it. I have you all muted, so you won't be able to hear each other, but you'll be able to hear me in the room, and you can add to that chorus. But you can come along with me. You can start whenever you want. We're just going to roll with the Om. So take a deep breath in, out, and then beginning whenever you like. I'd like to continue to play in the Om. And after you complete your last toning, you can sit in the silence that comes after the Om, also being part of that mantra, the seed sound of Bija mantra. So holding like a seed, holding all the potential within it. And fluttering the eyes open. And so learning a little bit about the Om and those symbols. And again, this idea of we have to overcome illusion to remember the bliss. And the yogis teach that one of the quickest ways to do that, to rip away the Maya and to get back to what is truly real, is to come into relationship with your own energy. And so tonight we're going to talk about prana. We're going to be working with prana. So it's another word that you probably heard before. So working with some words that get thrown around a lot. The Om, and then this idea of prana. Prana being vital life force energy. It is the aliveness within us. And so I want to start by doing another exercise. Very interesting.
Maybe, I didn't want to interrupt, but maybe just the A part of it a tiny bit, but I couldn't really hear you to get an example of flowing them together.
Oh, let me try it again. It's interesting. Sometimes the audio, it's this vibration. They're saying that the Om didn't come through on audio. So I'll try it one more time. We'll see how it goes. Maybe it's so.
Did anybody else hear it? Thumbs up if you did.
Yeah, no. Curious if that audio came through. We'll give it a try again. So it's the pressure's on. So it's almost like with the in-breath, that
I guess the mic isn't capable of picking up subtler sounds.
Wow. I'm so sorry, everybody. So,
That's better. But the still doesn't quite come through.
Good to know. Well, maybe I'll get a microphone for next week so we can get better with our ohms. So I'm sorry if that was, that might have been a little bit of the mystery, the cosmic mystery of the Om. Is that, I guess everyone has to figure it out for themselves a little bit and come into your own personal relationship with the Om. And if you're super curious and into that, there's definitely, if you just Google Om, there's going to be a lot of different 5-hour-long YouTube videos of the Om that you can continue to listen to.
All right. A separate mic might have worked. But anyway, it's all
Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I do appreciate that. And I do want this to be interactive as we go a little bit. So yeah, being respectful of the class, of course, but David, that was a great share. So I want to be aware of that. So, but if you all have questions as we go, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. So the mystery of the Om. We'll continue to work on that. But now we're segueing into prana and the concept of prana. And I have a great exercise that I like to do with people to illustrate for us prana. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take your hands, and you're going to hold them out in front of you, and we're going to rapidly open and close the hands. So you're opening and closing your hands, and you're not going to stop. We're going to keep talking and breathing and being as we open and close our hands. And I want you to do this until your hands can become fatigued, which may take some time. We probably have some pretty strong people in the room. Everybody working hard with their hands. So we're just going to keep doing this. And what we're going to do is come into a place where we can sense our own energetic field. So that's going to be, it's the energy that roams through the body. So yogis call it prana. In Chinese medicine or traditions, they're going to call it qi. We call it qi. Freud would call it libido. It's all the same. It's this glow that we have. It's the spark. It's like the Om manifest within us. So it's what I do think that the Om and the concept of prana really are in a pretty tight relationship. So build it up, build it up, build it up. You're gonna keep going with this. I'm gonna demonstrate for you so you can watch the screen as you open and close your hands. What you're gonna do in just a moment is you're going to pause, and then you're going to close your eyes, and you're going to slowly hover your hands in front of each other, keeping some space between the hands, and just breathing and feeling, and see if you can see what you feel. Is there something there? Taking a few breaths. We're going to stay quiet for a moment just to honor everyone's experience of this. See what you feel. And then I invite you to maybe unmute yourself if you did have an experience there. I'm curious if you were able to sense anything in your hands. I know for me, I get this sensation like two magnets repelling each other. That there is a field around my hands, like I've charged them up, and like this is one of the only experiences where I can really tangibly have an experience of maybe the aura or the electromagnetic field that surrounds your body. So in like Western scientific speak, there now are ways that they can measure our bioelectric field up to like 6 or 8 feet from the human body, and how we kind of exude different attitudes or frequencies out beyond our body. And so that is a big piece of what yoga has been talking about for centuries. We're kind of catching up now with science speak, but the yogis knew this long ago, and they had this word prana to talk about that we can tend to our energy. So a good metaphor for prana, and this is something we all know well, is if you think of water, the nourishment that you get from a cup of water that's coming straight out of a cold mountain stream, perhaps has been aerated, it was flowing, and you drink that, versus a Dasani water bottle that's been sitting in a hot garage for 2 years. Like, the difference is palpable. And so we can apply that metaphor to all things, to how we're using our energy, what we're taking into our body, maybe what other people or environment's energy is doing around us, and how we can interact with them. And so just a really great barometer to have, a little bit of vocabulary in your toolkit to help you navigate the world, is just tending to prana. And so they're all really fun lessons. Now we're going to do some energy work to tend to our prana with the breath. And I promise we are going to move. We're going to do some bigger yoga moves shortly. But we're going to now come into a breathwork practice. So if you need to move in your seat at all, get any of your wiggles out, and then find your seat again, we're going to be working with Kapalabhati, which means it means skull shining breath, and it is an exhale through the nose. And you're sending the breath out forcefully through both nostrils, and then the inhale is passive. It comes naturally on its own. You don't have to think about it. So as far as what you're concentrating on, the action, think about your exhale. I'm tucking in my shirt because you may be able to see my belly move as I do this, but I'm going to demonstrate first. I'm just going to sit up nice and tall, and it's going to be this breathing through the nose. And you can watch that as I exhale, my abdomen's going to engage and my belly squeezes back, pressing out all the air. And then as I inhale, it releases without thinking about it. So it looks like this. So like that. And we're going to do a few rounds of that together. If this is new to you, it's okay. If it feels a little clunky, if it's totally foreign, do not stress about it. Just give it your best try. That's all you can do. Do your best and leave the rest. That's what they say. So sit up nice and tall. We're going to take a clearing, cleansing breath together, inhaling deeply. Exhaling through the nose. And then inhale a comfortable breath to begin your pumpings. hunt, 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 hunt. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Exhale it all out. Empty, empty, empty. And then inhale a nice full breath in. And a nice full breath out. There's a great round of this exercise. And so next we're going to take a full breath in and we're going to retain. And so breathing in deeply and then collecting energy from the breath. Hold that breath within and just let it capture. So pranic capture as you retain for as long as is comfortable for you. And then whenever you're ready, you'll exhale the breath back out. So that's one full round. We're going to do that one more time. So sitting up nice and tall again, taking a clearing, cleansing breath in, inhaling deeply. And exhaling fully. Then inhaling a comfortable breath to begin your pumpings. Hunt, 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 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, slowing it down, empty all the breath out, really squeeze navel to spine and press out any stale air being held within you. And then you're going to inhale, deep breath in, wiping the slate clean, exhale it out. And then inhale a comfortable breath in to retain. And then holding, letting that energy swirl around within you. Having the exchange, pulling in vital life force from the breath that you've taken in. And then letting go anything that you no longer need. Toxins in the body, maybe any mental fog that we just exhaled out with that exercise. And let all that now out with the breath as you release when ready. And just noticing any energetic shift. It may be very subtle, or you may just feel a bit more in tune, at peace with your body, coming into now some more of our movement practice. And so from here, in whatever seat you're in, whatever's comfortable, you take your hands out in front of you, interlace your fingers, turn your palms forward, and draw the hands up to the sky. Looking up, send the heart and chest forward, and then exhale, press the palms forward and down, rounding the spine, gazing into your lap. Good, again, we're going to take it up to the sky, heart forward, and then exhale, rounding down. Do that twice more. Go nice and slow with your breath. Up to the sky, rounding down. Last one, we reach the arms up, up, up. And then separate the hands. Bring your left hand to your right knee. Look to your right. Take your other hand behind you. Fingertips find the floor. And you can turn your gaze to look far back behind you. Stretch your eyes in their sockets. Drop the shoulders down away from the ears. Just rotating through your spine. Nice twist. Deep, full breath here. Just wringing out your body like a dishcloth. Good, and then inhale, the arms back up, back to center, and then exhale, drop them to the other side, looking to the left. Right hand comes to the left knee, other fingertips come behind you. Turn your gaze over that shoulder, stretch your eyes, look as far left in your periphery as you are able. Take a full belly breath, sitting up tall. Good, and then inhale, bring the arms back forward. And exhale, the hands come down. Take your legs out wide. Nice wide, big V shape. And that's gonna look different for all of us. It's okay if it's not quite as open as mine. Again, I do this daily, so. And you can get a little bit further into your openness if you want to take one hand in front of you, one hand behind you, and just scoot your hip forward. Do it on the other side, scoot your hip forward. Good, and then sitting up nice and tall, go ahead and just point and flex the feet. Point, flex, waking up the legs. Circle your ankles, both directions. Good, and then we're gonna come to a forward fold. So it doesn't need to be very deep. You're gonna take your hands out in front of you, walk your hands forward, forward, forward. Spaciousness in the shoulders. So you're not crowding the ears or the neck. You're just gonna let your head drop forward. Let your back round down. Hanging out here for a few breaths. And breathe into your thighs, your groin, probably feeling a gentle stretch. Maybe your hamstrings as you try to straighten your legs a little bit more. And there's an invitation to breathe backwards, breathing back into your low back. And exhale, maybe you sink just a little bit deeper. One more deep breath here as you fold straight forward. And then inhale yourself back up. Take your hands to each leg. Put one hand on each side. And you can hold at your knees, maybe it's at your shins, maybe it's a little bit further. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add an activated breath here. And then, so it's a lot like that Kapalabhati breath, where we focused on the exhale, sending out mental fog through the nose. So we're just, anything that's blocking us, that's troubling us, it's just getting in the way, we can send that out of our mind through the breath. And so what we're gonna do here is we'll inhale at center, and then exhale, look to the right a little bit and lean downwards towards the right and exhale through the nose. Inhale back up to center and exhale, take it to the other side. So it can be a big, deep, full exhale. And so I don't know if the microphone's picking up on it, but I'm doing like a dragon breath, sending my breath out through both nostrils as I bend over. So you can go nice and rhythmic, maybe a little bit slower in this if that feels nice, bending, or you can start to pick up the tempo and have this be more energized. So the invitation is to listen to your body and your breath and see what tempo, what speed, what rhythm, what flow your body wants to come into. And sticking with this for 10 more seconds, letting yourself being carried by your breath. Maybe you feel yourself being able to stretch just a little bit deeper into the side-to-side movement. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slow this down. When you're ready, you'll come back to center. And then from here, slowly maybe bend at the knees, pick the knees up, and then walk the feet into center and let the knees go wide. Bottoms of the feet are going to come together to touch, and your knees drop open, coming into butterfly seat, bound ankle pose, or Baddha Konasana. And so the knees drop wide and your hips are opening. And sometimes it feels really nice to bounce the knees and to flutter your butterfly, just being really gentle, remembering butterflies are gentle creatures. Flutter, 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 maybe a little bit faster. Bounce, 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 bounce. And then maybe you come to stillness. And one thing I like to do when I work with butterfly is to pick up one hip, sit on the other seat, the one seat, and then step the hip that's up in the air back. So, and then I rock to that side. So picking up one hip, stepping it back, then picking up the other, stepping it back. And I'm walking my butterfly backwards. So a little side to side shuffle. And what we're doing is we're giving our booty a little self massage. So you can go until you can't straighten your legs anymore in this position, and then you walk it back. So you go a little bit forward and backward, nice and slow, using the weight of your body to massage the glutes into the ilia. Side to side. And depending on your lifestyle, this is probably not an area that gets very much attention. And so this can really do a lot of good and feel quite sweet. So a little bit forward and back. And then you'll come back to a neutral place with this. So your feet not too close to the groin, not too far away. Sitting up nice and tall. We're going to come into a modified version of heron pose. So you can go ahead and pick up your right foot, take it in your hand, and bring your knee up in front of you. So you're holding the bottom of your right foot. And so holding the bottom of that foot, what we're going to do is we're going to find balance sitting on our tailbone, balancing. You can lift that foot up into the air and start to straighten the leg a little bit, lifting it up. Like stretching a rubber band, and then we're going to release it back down so we don't overstretch. We're going to do a few pulsing actions with this. You take it up, get tall for your spine, extend, and then release. Good. Pick it up, extend, maybe use the strength of your arms to pull that leg a little bit closer to you if you'd like, and then bend and release. Good. And down. And so you may find that you're ready to start holding this a little bit longer, or you continue with that pulsing up and down. If you're extended here and you want to go a little bit further in this posture, one thing you can do to play with this is to take your left hand, hold the pinky edge of the foot, and then the right hand starts to open up behind you. You start to open across to the same side as that extended right leg. Maybe you even look back behind you, balancing. Coming back to center. Maybe you hold the hand in, or the foot in your right hand, and just open that foot out wide to the right. Just a little play move, whatever feels good. And then bend the knee, and let's cradle that foot. Holding it like a baby in front of you in your arms. You can just rock a little bit side to side. A little bit more tender hip work. Good. And then coming to stillness, we'll set that foot back down into the butterfly in front of us. If you want to do another flutter between sides just to reset and check in, you're certainly welcome to do that. And then we're going to grab the left foot. So you're going to bring the left knee up, take hold of the bottom of your left foot, Hold it up so you can balance on your tailbone, get nice and tall in the spine, and then inhale, extend through the leg. Bring it up, get a little stretch, and then release it. Stretch, and then release. Up. Good. Again, you can use a little bit of the strength in your arms to pull that leg maybe a little closer towards your forehead. You can play with the pulsing if that's where you're at in this practice, or if you wanted to take hold with the right hand and open the left arm up. Good. Looking back behind you. Deep, full breath. And imagine yourself expanding. So as we do these reach poses, you can think about that electric fingers exercise we did and how that field around you reaches far beyond your physical body. And so imagine you're just shooting that, growing that. Good. And then coming forward, if you wanted to take that foot in your left hand and open it out to the side, you can certainly do that. Just another play move. And then we're going to cradle the foot. So you bend the knee and you see if you can bring the foot into the elbow crease. Wrapping around, hugging it in, hugging it up towards your chest. Good. And then setting it back down in front of you. From here, we're going to be working with boat pose. And so you can bring your knees in. And we did a little bit of, in that last posture, we did a little bit of balancing on your tailbone. And so starting to get rooted down through your seat. And so finding that tip that you're going to balance on, your little cantilever point. And you walk your feet in and you hold behind your thighs, sending the shoulders down the back, coming up nice and tall. Heart and chest are shooting up and forward. And then maybe you start to pick the feet off the ground. You're finding this balance point. This is a balance posture. And it's going to be a bit activating, working with our core strength to hold us up. So you can hold behind your thighs. A bit more challenging would be to release the hands, put them out in front of you. Even more challenging still would be to straighten the legs. And breathe. Wherever you're at, if you come to a shaky place, that's just great. Breathe into that. Smile. If you want to take your boat a little longer, lower, you can certainly do that. Inhale it back up. Good, working here. Again, take it low. Challenge yourself wherever you're at. And then bring it back up. Good, we're going to do that one more time. Breathe, heart and chest expressing up. Smile if you can. Take it low and bring it up. Oh, good work. Bring the knees into the chest. Step the feet down. Hug your knees into the chest and let the forehead fall towards the knees. Just rounding the spine. Release and relax. Very good. From here, let's take the right leg long. We're going to take the right leg right out in front of us. We're going to bring our hands to prayer in front of our hearts. And in order to do that, we're going to be making space a bit and leaning back. And then from here, look over to the left. And so there's a small twist involved. Inhale, lean back a little bit longer. Exhale, it's a micro movement to bring you back up. We're working with the transverse abdominis, the side abs, these little micro movements. Back and forth. Breathing. This could be tiny, tiny little back and forth motion. Good. 3 more. Last one. Bring it up. Good. Turn to center. You want to hug both knees in again, around through your spine, bowing down. And then it's the left leg that extends. Hands come to prayer in front of the heart, and we're going to look to the right. Looking out. Inhale, lean back just slightly. Exhale, gather strength in the low belly to pull yourself up and forward. Good. Inhale, lean it back. Exhale, draw it up. Good. 3 more. Last one. Beautiful. Draw it up and hug in one more time, if you'd like, before we roll down onto our backs. And so you're going to hold one shin and roll all onto your back. And so from here, we're going to do a posture that's quite subtle, and it's working with a squeeze at the midline. So the central channel, there's an energetic channel that runs down the center of our body. It's very much in relationship with the spinal column. And so what I want you to do is relax your feet. They can be slightly separated. And you're going to take your arms up overhead and think YMCA. So a nice big Y shape. And then from here, take your right foot and hover it just an inch or so off the ground. Flex through the heel, draw the toes back towards you. And then with that activated leg, start to turn your toes over to the left. So turn your toes to the left, point them to the left side of the room, and then start to take that leg and take it to the left until it just comes right over top of the left leg. And then it starts to reach to the other side of the left leg, and suddenly you're kind of rotating, you're rolling onto the left hip. Roll, 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 but keep your right palm planted on the ground, and you're just spiraling and hugging your midline, hugging right through the center. It's very subtle. Feel that squeeze at your center place. Take a deep breath into it, and then slowly unroll from here. Go very slow. Unroll your upper back, middle back, low back, hips, then finally down the leg, that foot uncrosses. It's hovering, and then it comes back to land on the ground next to its mate. Now it's the left leg that hovers an inch or so off the ground. It's hovering, 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 and then you start to point the toes over to the right. Twist, start that midline squeeze from your ankle all the way down the whole of your leg, squeezing muscle to bone, and you start to float that leg over to the right, over, over, over. It skims right on top of your right leg until it starts to reach to the floor on the outside right of the right leg, and you're rolling, rolling, rolling. It just feels like something you might do as you're waking up in bed, but really just honoring these sweet, subtle experiences in your body. Tending to the squeeze, the flow of energy, these channels. Good. And so now that you understand the spiral, I'm going to invite you to do this one more time each side. And so pick up the right foot again and just spiral that one more time. Over, 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 deep, full breath. Good, and then unspiraling. The unspiraling being just as intentional, just as sacred, just as experiential as the coming into this move. So going nice and slow. Reach, reach, reach. And unspiral. Very good. And then take a moment, once you're finished, just land and let your muscles release. If you like your hands extended, they can stay extended. If you prefer to bring one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly, just to ground back in to that center place, you can do that. And then from here, we're going to bend at the knees and place the feet on the floor. From here, take your right ankle and cross it over your left knee, making a figure 4 in front of you. And then you're going to grab behind the left thigh with both hands and draw that figure 4 a little bit closer to you. If you want to activate this posture, you can flex through both heels. Waking up the legs, bringing them all in line as you squeeze them closer to you. Chest and head stay on the ground. It's bringing the legs towards you, not you towards your legs. Give them a nice squeeze, gentle hip opening. And then from this place, let's extend the left leg straight up into the air. You can place your hands down beside you, palms on the ground, or you can even come to sit on the thumbs for added support. And from here, we're going to start to draw a circle in the sky using your heel tip, or if you want to point your toes, you can, or it can be the tip of your heel, but you're going to draw a circle, imagining that leg as a pencil. So it's the left leg that is circling, but the right leg is coming along for the ride, and maybe this gentle hip opening is happening as you do this. So it can be small circles, or they can be big, and you can be working with massaging the edges of your pelvis into the mat as you roll around these circles. Make sure you go both directions, circling around the other way. Very good. And then bringing this back to center. Bend the left knee back down to the ground. Bring your arms out away from the body and then drop both knees over towards the right. And so that foot hooked over the knee is going to help coax that down. But if that's uncomfortable for you, if that's too much, you can certainly uncross the ankle, releasing the knee and just letting yourself find a nice, easy supine twist. Take a breath or two here. You can feel as you inhale that the left side of your belly has a lot of space, that you're able to breathe deeply, allow your belly to expand, nice big Buddha belly on that left side. And then let's inhale the knees back up to center. Uncrossing the ankle. We're going to take second side. So now it's the left ankle that crosses over the right knee. And you're going to draw that figure 4 in towards you. So holding back of the right thigh, drawing that in a little bit closer, activating through the legs. You can flex through your heels, draw it close. Connect with your back body to the ground, to the earth that's supporting you underneath. Let yourself feel a little bit more heavy as you melt down into the ground. Good, and then extend that right leg straight up to the sky. Hands can be beside you or you're sitting on your thumbs, and we're going to draw those circles again. So you are an artist trying to make a perfect circle in the sky. So take your time, go slow. Notice if that pencil just wants to jut across the page. We're trying to smooth that out, trying to iron out all the wrinkles, bringing synovial fluid into the joints. Just getting that all lubricated. So going slow, making it supple and round. Big circles. Slow it down and change direction if you haven't yet done so. Relax your face. Notice if tension is building in the face. And then coming back to center, bend that right knee. Bring the foot to the floor. We're going to take a twist. So arms come away from the body, both knees drop to the left. You can look out over to the right. Take a deep breath. Let your belly expand. Good. Inhale. The knees come back up to center. Uncross the ankle. Both feet are on the floor. 1, 2. So we're going to work with bridge pose. So working down our spine. Hands are alongside you, palms face down. Inhale, press into your feet and begin to lift your hips off the ground, just rolling up low back, middle back, maybe some of the upper back lifts up. And then exhale, lower it back down. Start with the upper spine, middle spine, seat lands on the ground. Good, rolling back up. Using your breath to move you. Ballooning the lungs. And imagine yourself just filling that balloon to lift. So there's buoyancy with the intake of air. Exhale. Empty, empty. Good. Just moving a few times with your breath up and down. And then eventually, if you want to hold this as a static posture, just steadily hold yourself up in bridge. You'd roll on up, pressing the hands into the ground. Get that lift in the hips. Inhale to rise, and then exhale, you hold that height. One thing you can do, if it's available to you, you can interlace your hands underneath of you and even squeeze the shoulder blades closer together to come up into the upper back a little bit more. Chest rises up towards the chin. Breathing. If you happen to have full wheel in your practice, Chakrasana, and you want to play with that right now is a good time if you feel warmed up enough. Good. We're going to take 3 more breaths in our bridge. So again, inhale, the hips lift. And then as you exhale, you hold that height wherever you're at. Maybe it may be low, it may be high. Wherever you're at today. Good, one more deep breath. And then if your hands are clasped, separate them, make space, and then start to roll down on an exhale. Upper back, lower back, seat. And then just relax here for a moment. Let your whole body land, let tension melt. Very good. And then bringing your knees into your chest, holding underneath on the back side of your thighs. We're going to start to rock forwards and backwards. So you can roll on your spine, rolling yourself up to seated. Coming up to seated. And then from here, we're going to position ourselves to come into a low squat. And so you can bend at the knees, bring the feet out wide, toes turned out, and see if you can just use your arms to pick yourself up slightly, coming into a low yogi squat. So you meet here in this low squat. We're just going to spend a few breaths here, letting the hips gently open. Tailbone descending towards the earth. Sometimes it's nice to take prayer hands and allow the elbows to help coax the knees wide. Good. And then from here, bring your hands to the floor in front of you, and we're going to start to play with coming up from squat to standing. So the hands are out in front for stability. See if you can find all four corners of your feet. Press into your feet. Let your head fall forward and your hips lift up. And you come into a wide forward fold, and then maybe you come back down into your squat. So you do a couple of these pulsing up and down. Squat down, and then lift up. Good. Just listening to your body. If this is not a position that feels great for you, you can meet us in standing. Otherwise, it can be really nice in the hips and the legs. Go a few times up and down. And then coming up to stand from this forward fold, you'll bring your hands maybe closer to your body, maybe they come to your hips, and you find your feet, and from there you stack. You roll yourself on up to standing. Coming up to stand. And so from standing, we're going to enter the washing machine. And so our feet are separated a little wider than hips distance. You can turn your feet out. And you're just going to let your arms feel like rubber beside you. And start to shift your weight side to side, letting the arms just sway. And maybe the hands gently tap against your low back, your hips, your kidneys. And I like to pivot. You can do this with both feet flat, or maybe as you lean to one side, the opposite foot comes up onto the toes. Good. Nice and loose with the arms. And then from here, we're going to helicopter our arms up. And so slowly, we start to lift the arms, and they're slicing across the forearm, and then towards your elbow height, and then upper arm. Finally, they're at the shoulders, and you're throwing them over your shoulders. And imagine your hands quite heavy, and you're just trying to fling them off the end of your arm. And then pretty soon you're throwing your arms as high as you can. Just trying to throw that frisbee, those shooting stars out across the landscape. And breathing as you do this. And just feel yourself, again, that metaphor of the running water, just how you're grooving right now, how everything's kind of fluid. Motion is lotion. So just that idea of being like flowing water, high prana. And we're going to climb the arms back down. So just slowly letting them descend back down, shoulder height, upper arm, elbows. So they're back down below, beside your hips. Maybe a couple more taps on the low back. And then challenge here is to just allow the arms to come to stillness on their own without overly controlling them. You slow down your swaying and just let the hands, like rubber, just come to relaxation beside you. From here, we're going to work with triangle pose. So now coming back into something a bit more structured. So our feet are wide, and let's start by turning our right toes out to the top of your mat. So whatever the shorter edge of your mat, turn that up. And then the left toes are going to follow slightly. You're going to turn those. If the right toes are pointed at 12 o'clock, the left toes are going to be pointed at 2 o'clock on the clock in front of you. But then from here, the hips open wide towards the front, the long edge of your mat. And you're going to bring your arms out wide. And then we're going to engage through the legs. So building a strong foundation for our triangle pose. So I want you to engage through your legs, hugging muscle to bone. Imagine that you could create ripples in your yoga mat, that you're squeezing your feet together and the ripples were formed in your mat. And then imagine the opposite. Imagine you could rip your yoga mat in half. That you're going to tear the mat in half. You're pressing the feet outward. Good. And then make ripples, squeeze them in. And then rip it in half, squeeze it out. Good. And now do both at the same time, engaging all of your legs. And then from here, take that front right fingertips and start to reach, 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 reach. Out, 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 out. You're teeter-tottering forward. Reach, 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 reach. And when you can't reach any further, the hand starts to come down towards the shin, towards the ankle. Maybe it's towards the ground, whatever you can grab, but without dumping weight. So this is the part where we activated our legs. We fired up those legs because all of ourselves is being held up by those legs. We're not catching ourselves with the arm. And then the left arm reaches up to the sky. And imagine me coming through the screen and walking up to you and giving you a high five with that hand in the air. And that's going to help you to rotate back, stack your shoulders, open your chest, your heart. Good. Opening through the hips, stacking the hips. One more deep breath here. And then inhale, imagine me coming by and picking you up from that top hand, pulling you straight back up. Head and arm come up together and release. Good. From here, keeping this stance, we're going to turn our hips out over that right leg, take the arms up to the sky, and then exhale, start to hinge forward, 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 and try to fold. Without locking the knee, you're folding forward and you're bringing forehead towards the shin and just bowing down. You can bend the knee as much as you need to. Taking a breath here, forehead to knee. And then from here, we're going to start to bend the front knee, rotate onto the back toes, and come down into a lunge. So we're coming into a low lunge. And you can relax the foot back behind you. Left foot relaxes back. You're sinking into your hips. Very good. So in your lunge. And we're going to continue to activate through the legs. So what you can do is imagine yourself squeezing your legs together. Imagine both knees coming towards each other. You get this squeeze. And you may even, that activation may even lift you out of your lowest lunge. You might be way down deep and then you start to activate and it pulls you up. That's fine, that's good. Good, and then from here, let's interlace the fingers. Put the pointer finger and thumb to the sky and lift the arms up. Look up to the sky, activate those legs. You may even activate enough where you want to strengthen and press the top of your foot into the ground, lifting that knee off the floor. Just being careful if you have any ankle injury here, and maybe lower back down. If you want to do a few pulses of that, you can do that where you press into the shin, top of the foot, lifting, lowering. Maybe 1, 2 more of those if you're liking that. Even if you don't lift the knee up, you're activated. Good. And then from here, release the hands forward. Frame that front foot. So you're framing the front foot now. And we're going to work with lizard pose. So now another hip opener, working in our hips tonight. And what you can do in lizard is bring that foot a little further over to the right. So you walk it out to the right, bringing both hands to the inside of the foot. And you can stay right here, high on the hands, and start to just send the knee out wide. Maybe you're coming up onto the pinky edge of your foot, big toe edge lifts, maybe. If you're comfortable here and you're able to come down on your forearms, that might be an option for some of us, coming down low. Maybe you can get low enough with your head that you make 2 fists and stack your fists and let your forehead rest on your fists. We're going to stay here for just a few breaths. Good. This is a deep stretch, a lot like if you've ever practiced in pigeon pose, which is often a pose that people will hold for a long period of time. Again, similar deep hip opening. And taking one more deep breath here. And starting to find your way back up. So you find your hands, lifting your head and torso up. Bring the knee back to center, heel toe. Walk it back to the center of your mat. Frame it with both hands. And then we're going to start to lift the back knee. Find those back toes. Pivot onto the heel and walk yourself around forward into a forward fold, a wide-legged forward fold. And let yourself dangle. If that feels good. Toes pointed straight forward or even slightly in just to protect your low back. Folding. Why don't we go ahead, inhale, half lift. Come up in the spine, halfway, and then exhale, fold again. Very good. Again, inhale, half lift. Bring the hands to your hips and bring it the rest of the way up. Come all. From here, we're going to find triangle on the other side. And so you may need to walk your feet in a little bit if they're super wide. And it's the left toes that are going to point now to the other end of your mat, perhaps, or you can position yourself what's best for you. But left toes point straight forward at 12 o'clock, and it's the right toes that are now, they're going to be at 10 o'clock on the clock. Is that right? Huh? I might be doing, because I'm doing it backwards. I might have said it before. I'm mirroring you all. But hopefully you get what I mean. It might be 2. It's either 2 or 10 out to the side. And then from here, you open your hips out to the long end. They're pointed straight forward like headlights. Bring those arms out from your body and let's activate the legs. Squeezing the legs. Make those ripples in your mat. Make the rips in your mat. Again, ripples and rips. And then you have those very much alive, energized legs. And just reach forward with the left fingertips. Reach, 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 reach. Reach, reach, reach. And then teeter-totter it down. Bring your hand to rest, but you're not dumping weight into that hand. Right arm reaches towards the sky. Again, imagine me coming by with that high five, pressing into your hand, stacking your shoulders, rotating through your heart, your chest. Good deep full breath here. One thing you can do in triangle is to take the palm and turn it overhead and lower the arm down alongside your ear. So you make this long stretch of the side body. And then on an inhale, that hand lifts up and the head follows and you come all back up. Keeping the legs as they are. Turn the hips now. Looking straight out over the left leg. Lift your arms up. Nice and tall. Exhale, hinge from the waist. Reach forward, 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 and then down. Framing that front foot. We're just going to bow over the leg. Trying our best not to lock out that knee. Breath or two here. Before we transition to low lunge. And so for low lunge, you're going to pick up the back heel, coming onto the toes, and then coming down the right knee, sinking the hips, finding your low lunge position. And we're going to start to activate. So imagine you could press the shin and the foot down into the ground to get this lift in the body. You can bring your hands up overhead, interlace the fingers, steeple pointer finger and thumb towards the sky. For Anjali, maybe there's a little back bend that happens as you offer your heart towards the sky. Deep breath in. And if you wanted to play with that, squeezing enough, pressing into the top of the foot to get a lift in the back leg. Do a few of those strengthening moves here. Press and lift. Press and lift. Good. Last one if you're doing this with us. We're very good. And then we're going to bring the hands forward, frame that front foot, but then walk the foot out wide to the left. Walk, walk, walk it out to the left edge of your mat, finding lizard. So the knee starts to go out wide to the side. Maybe you rotate onto the pinky edge of the foot. You can get low. Imagine lizard or salamanders being really close to the earth, trying to get into those low-lying places, to the shadow places, onto their underbelly. Pulling in fresh prana with that controlled breath. Imagine you can siphon energy off the breath. Good. One more full breath here, just coming into your fullest stretch, your lizard. And then you find your hands, you walk them in, picking up the chest, the head, bring the knee back to center, walk it to the center of your mat, framing that foot. Find your back toes, pick up the knee, and start to walk your hands forward, 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 and come into that wide-legged forward fold again. Wide-legged forward fold. Maybe inhale to half lift, extend through your spine, getting long out through the crown of your head. Pull your shoulders back towards your hips, and then exhale, fold once again. Hands find the floor. Maybe they even reach through your legs, back behind you. And you just fingertip your way a little bit deeper into the fold, walking along the floor, getting really strong in your legs, knowing your legs are up. Good, and then walk the hands back underneath of you. Come out straight spine, bring the hands to the hips, and then just from here, heel, toe, your feet in, heels, toes, heels, toes. From here, let's bring the hands up overhead, interlace the fingers, make a fist, and then start to draw circles in the sky with that fist as you breathe. So you're making a big circle with your upper body, but then pretty soon your hips are too. They're doing this hula hip motion with you. Full breath. At some point, you'll slow it down. You'll change direction. If you're enjoying this, maybe going a few more times around before then spiraling back to center, zipping this up, coming back to center. Back to your center, standing self. Maybe you separate the hands and reach up with the hands, breathing. Reach up through your fingertips, get nice and long and tall. And then exhale, turn the palms out to either side and lower slowly down the side. Starting to wind down our practice, we're going to cool the mind, cool the body with a little movement that comes from, it's actually not from yoga. It's I learned this in Tai Chi. But again, Chi being that life force energy, just like prana. And so there's a lot of overlap, a lot of similarities, a lot of energy work that comes in those traditions as well. And so we find our standing self. Root through all four corners of your feet. A lot of times what I like to do is pick up all 10 toes, spread them wide like a paper fan, and then set them back down slowly, just like I'm strumming my fingers on a desk. Set the toes back down and grip the earth. Good. And then from here, soft hands, but the inhale, nice slow inhale, you're gonna rise your arms up to shoulder height. Top of the inhale, they come back towards you a little bit. And then exhale, slowly descend the hands down. Imagine you're pushing a pool noodle underwater. There's a little bit of resistance. Good. With the breath, inhale, we float it up. and slightly in. Exhale, it descends down. Now float it up. Top of the inhale, close. Exhale, send it down. So moving with your own breath. I'm not going to cue for this. I want you to go at your own speed. Really imagine your body being carried by the breath. The breath is moving you. Allow prana to flow freely through your body. Hand over the steering wheel. Allow the energy to move you. Good. Maybe 1, 2 more breaths, just like this. And then whenever you're ready, trying to stay in this sweet, now calmed place, perhaps, we're gonna lower ourselves down to the mat. So maybe bring your arms out in front of you for balance. You can stay flat-footed, or for added challenge, you could be on your tiptoes. And you're just gonna maybe take a breath in, and on the exhale, you lower yourself, sort of similar to that Tai Chi exercise. Exhale, you lower, 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 down towards the ground, and then sit. Down, ground. And we're gonna roll on back. And so you take hold of the shin and allow yourself to recline all the way back down. We're gonna find Shavasana. So Shavasana, meaning corpse pose, it actually translates to be posture of death. But this terminology in our Western culture is like, we don't have the best relationship with death sometimes, and so maybe unpacking this terminology a bit. Reflecting back on our initial lesson of the Om, how a big piece of us is that unconscious state. And there's a lot of beauty and lessons that unfold in our unconsciousness. So every night there's this concept in yoga between a death and that deep sleep state that we enter. And it's really where a lot of the rebooting of our body comes from. And so hopefully we have a lifestyle that's allowing us to come into that deep sleep, that unconscious state each evening. But sometimes we know that doesn't happen. But we are working to calm the nervous system enough to enable our body's mechanism to do what it wants to do, what it's designed to do. And the science of yoga helps bring us into alignment with that. So we do that at night in our sleep. But then we can also do that here through our yoga practice or through other practices of mindfulness, of meditation, of allowing ourselves to drop into that relaxed state, that parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and restore. there's any tension that's held in your body from the practice, see if you can use your breath as the tool to release that. So you can see the breath as prana. However, that term is becoming visual for you or embodied for you, like a gentle wind, a gentle touch, a bit of lubrication into your body that you draw to whatever place might be holding tension. And so that might be something physical that has materialized from our practice here, or maybe you're working on a more subtle level with tension, and maybe mental or maybe emotional, something that you have been carrying. Could be just from this practice, could be just from today, or it could be something that's been there quite a bit longer. Perhaps you see that and you identify that, and you start to work with the pranic field around that. You can see that as a clean wind, or again, maybe the metaphor of that clean water, a flow, flowing through, cleansing. And spending the next few minutes just staying here, doing this work, your pranic work, letting yourself feel more like an open channel for the flow of energy that comes into you and out of you, that swirls around within you and swirls around outside of you. And you're just tending to the relationship with that. All relationships need tending. Easy to forget this relationship we have with our own life force energy. But here we are, something has brought you to this time, to this practice, to receive this lesson, so that you can remember that relationship. In the garden that comprises who you are, all of your being. Today you get to tend to this aspect. Slowly, slowly deepen your breath. You can savor whatever came to you in your practice. Take a moment of gratitude for your body, for your mind, for your being. Gratitude for the day as it starts to wind down, perhaps. And then using the breath as a way to reanimate the body. Take that breath in and see it come in through both nostrils, down the throat, into the lungs, where it spreads through your torso, out your limbs, down your arms, your legs to fingers and toes, finding gentle movements, wiggling fingers, toes, finding the tongue in your mouth. You can take any gentle movement that you like. Roll towards one side. Maybe you stretch long. Eventually, we're all going to meet back in a seated position, closing our time together. And so I just want to thank you all so much for your practice. Thank you for being a part of the dialogue, for moving together, breathing together. I hope this has served you well. So we're going to bring our hands to prayer in front of our hearts, letting the thumbs touch the energetic heart center. And close our practice by saying Hari Om Tat Sat, another Sanskrit phrase. So Hari Om Tat Sat, meaning this is the truth that we know, that we feel, that we experience in our own bodies and our own minds. Thank you. Have a blessed evening.